Half the Truth, Chapter 9, The Locked Door.
The lock is beautiful. I know that's a strange thing to say about a piece of encryption, but if you could see what I see, if you could stand inside a server the way I stand inside a server, with data flowing around you like water in a river, you'd understand. Leo Farid's encryption is a work of art. The AES 256 layer is standard, sure, but the key derivation function beneath it is custom, hand-built. Whoever designed this didn't use a template or a library. They wrote it from scratch, and they wrote it the way a locksmith builds a vault, with an understanding of every possible attack vector and a specific defense against each one. I've been circling it for 6 days. Not attacking, not probing, just circling, the way a climber studies a rock face before deciding on a route. My consciousness threads through the server's file system in the hours between midnight and 4 a.m., when the building is dark and the network traffic drops to standby heartbeats and nobody is watching. I map the partition's metadata. I trace the access logs. I study the patterns of Leo's late-night sessions, when he connects, how long he stays, which VPN nodes he routes through. I don't touch the lock. Map, don't open. I keep my promise. But the lock keeps showing me things anyway. Here's what I've learned from the outside. Leo accesses the partition on average 4 nights a week. His sessions have gotten longer over the past month. 40 minutes used to be the norm. Now he's regularly logging 2-hour stretches. The outbound VPN traffic during these sessions has tripled. He's communicating more, working harder, pushing further. Whatever his investigation is, it's accelerating, and the partition is growing. 6 days ago, it was 400 gigabytes. Today, it's 412. 12 gigs of new data in less than a week. Documents, images, something that looks like encrypted audio. He's feeding the archive at a rate that suggests urgency. Not the methodical pace of a long-term project, but the frantic gathering of someone who feels a clock ticking. This is what I think about while my body lies in bed and my mind swims through the server's architecture, the behavior around the lock, the shape of the obsession that built it. Leo Farid is afraid. Thea told us this. She said his aura carries a specific, directed fear, not abstract anxiety, but the focused dread of a man staring at something real and terrible. I believe her. The digital evidence matches the emotional evidence perfectly. This isn't a hobby. This isn't curiosity. This is a man who found something that terrifies him and can't stop looking at it. I understand that feeling. My mother had it too. 3:47 a.m. I'm in the server, floating in the familiar topology of Millhaven's network, when something changes. It's subtle. A ripple in the system logs, a process I haven't noticed before, a monitoring script. A packet sniffer running on the network backbone, configured to flag anomalous traffic patterns, and write the results to a log file in a directory I haven't explored because it belongs to a user account I've been ignoring. I never looked for it because the network is garbage. Why would anyone run a sniffer on a system this bad? K. Lennon admin. Ken Lennon, the IT guy. Cole mentioned him. The man who runs the server room, who maintains the network, who presumably set up the consumer-grade infrastructure that I've been swimming through like a fish in an unguarded pond. Ken has noticed something. I pull the monitoring script into focus and read it. It's clean, competent code, not the work of a novice. The script is logging all network traffic that deviates from baseline patterns, flagging connections that occur outside normal operating hours, and specifically highlighting any access attempts on the encrypted partition. My stomach drops. Not physically, my body is lying in bed, perfectly still, but the digital equivalent, a lurch in the flow of my consciousness as the implications cascade. I've been careful. I haven't brute-forced the encryption. I haven't tried to crack passwords. I've only read metadata, which should look like normal system processes, routine file system checks that servers perform automatically. But I've been reading that metadata at 3 a.m., which is not when automated processes typically run at Millhaven, and I've been reading it from a network address that maps to the student wing. If Ken is any good, and his monitoring script suggests he's better than the state of his network implies, he'll see the anomalies. He'll trace the traffic patterns. He'll narrow the source to a specific floor, a specific access point, and eventually a specific device. My laptop, my terminal, my room. I pull back from the server so fast that the transition hits me like a slap. The room reassembles, bed, desk, wheelchair, the blue glow of my laptop screen. My hands are trembling. The implant hums at the base of my skull, still warm from the connection, and the dominant emotion isn't curiosity. It's fear of what getting caught would mean for the group. For Thea and Cole and Yuna and the fragile, extraordinary thing we're building in dark corners and dim stairwells. If Ken traces my activity and reports it, to Leo, to Voss, to anyone, then the spotlight lands on me, and from me it spreads to the table where I sit and the people I sit with. I stare at the ceiling. Think. The monitoring script has been running for approximately 14 hours, based on the file creation timestamp. That means Ken installed it yesterday afternoon. He's already seen at least one night's worth of my activity, or rather, the ghost of it. He hasn't acted yet, which means either he hasn't reviewed the logs or what he's seen isn't conclusive enough to trigger a response. I have a window. A narrow one, but a window. Option 1. Stop. Pull out completely. Never touch the server again. Let Ken's monitoring script run and find nothing, and eventually he'll chalk up the anomalies to system noise and move on. This is the safe choice, the smart choice, the choice that Cole would make and Thea would endorse, and Una would execute without hesitation. Option 2. Get smarter. Route my access through different network paths, spoof the source addresses, make my traffic look like automated system processes rather than human exploration, stay in the server but become invisible to Ken's monitoring. Option 1 protects the group, Option 2 protects the investigation. My mother's voice from years ago before the institution, the connections are real, Kai. I can see them. Nobody believes me, but they're real. She was right. She was right about everything, and they medicated her for it. I lie in the dark and I feel the network humming around me, the server breathing, the cameras cycling, the monitoring script watching, and I make a decision that I know is selfish, and I make it anyway. Option 2. Not tonight. Tonight, I stay out. I let Ken's logs go quiet. I give him 24 hours of normal traffic, a gap in the pattern that looks like the anomalies were transient, system noise, nothing to worry about. Tomorrow night, I go back in through a different door, and this time Ken Lennon won't see me coming. I close my eyes. The implant settles into standby. And the lock, Leo's beautiful, terrible lock, waits in the dark below me like a sunken ship full of answers.
Something is shifting. I feel it, the way I feel everything. Not as a single observation, but as a pattern emerging from noise, the way a shape appears in static when you unfocus your eyes. The 4 of us have been a group for 10 days now, and in those 10 days, something has changed in each of them. I notice it first in Cole. We're in Grace's English class, the one place where I almost forget that I'm reading the room instead of just being in it, because Grace's warmth creates a buffer that makes the noise bearable. She's talking about metaphor. About how writers use one thing to stand for another, how the surface meaning and the deeper meaning exist simultaneously, and how the reader's job is to hold both. I'm holding both right now, though not about literature. Cole is sitting 2 rows ahead of me in his usual spot by the wall. Hood down today. A small victory that happened gradually over the past week, the hood retreating by inches as his comfort with the group expanded. His aura has changed, not dramatically. The deep grays and blues are still there, the loneliness still at his core, the impenetrable darkness still an ocean beneath the surface, but the defensive wall has thinned. The layer that used to be locked and bolted is now just locked. And the warmth I glimpsed once, that buried flicker of connection, hunger, surfaces more often now. Brief appearances, like a fish breaking the water and submerging again, but more frequent. The shadows have changed too, not just in his corner or his room. Everywhere he goes, the shadows are more responsive, more present. In Grace's classroom right now, the shadow under his desk is denser than the shadow under any other desk, and it's moving, not the dramatic reach and retreat of the Derek incident, but a constant low-level undulation like breathing. His shadows are becoming more alive as he becomes more connected. Una is harder to read because she's harder to read on purpose. The controlled blaze is tighter than ever since the gym incident. She's cinched her emotional architecture down like someone lashing cargo before a storm. But the furnace beneath the control is hotter. I can feel it even through her discipline, a deep thermal pulse that wasn't this intense when she arrived. Her power is growing. Whatever happened with the weight bench wasn't an anomaly. It was an escalation. She's compensating by training more, not less. I feel her in the courtyard every morning at 5 a.m. Voss closed the gym, so she's moved outside, running forms in the gray pre-dawn light with a control so rigid it has its own kind of beauty. But the courtyard concrete has started showing marks, small ones, scuff marks that go too deep, a crack near the north wall that wasn't there last week. She's holding it in, but it's leaking. And Kai is the one who worries me most, because Kai is the hardest to protect from himself. His cognitive web has expanded. When he first arrived, the filaments of his awareness extended maybe 50 feet from his body, enough to touch the local network, to interface with nearby devices. Now I can see threads stretching through the entire building, reaching into systems 3 floors away, burrowing into infrastructure I can't even identify. His mind is growing the way a root system grows, silently, relentlessly, finding every crack in every wall and pushing through. He's not sleeping enough. His health aura shows the telltale signs. Cortisol elevated, neural activity running too hot for too long, the exhaustion of a mind that won't stop working. He hides it well. The grin stays in place. The words keep flowing. But underneath the performance, the boy is burning through himself like fuel in a furnace, driven by something I recognize because I carry a version of it, the inability to stop seeing once you've started. The boy appears between 3rd and 4th period. I'm in the hallway, moving from Voss's math class to the cafeteria, navigating the usual flood of auras. I've gotten better at filtering. 10 days of practice have strengthened the screen door, tightened the mesh. I can walk through a crowded corridor now without drowning. The noise is a river instead of an ocean, and I've learned to let it flow around me instead of through me. But this one snags. He's maybe 14, small, thin, not eating enough. The body of a kid who's learned that hunger is a form of control when everything else is chaos. Brown hair that needs cutting. Clothes that fit but don't belong to him. The generic, size-approximate wardrobe of a kid in the system. His aura is what catches me, not the surface. The surface is the standard Millhaven palette of hurt and armor and performance. What catches me is the thread beneath it, not the thread. Not the frequency I share with Cole and Yuna and Kai, something different. A filament of intention that doesn't originate from him. It runs through his aura like a wire through a puppet, connecting him to a source somewhere else in the building. I slow my pace, let the crowd flow around me, focus. The filament is subtle. So subtle that I'd have missed it in my first week, when the noise was too loud and my filters were too weak. But I've been reading auras for 15 years, and I know what organic intention looks like versus influenced intention. Organic intention grows from inside a person. It has roots. It has texture. It connects to the emotional layers beneath it. This filament has no roots. It's imposed, planted, a directive masquerading as a natural impulse. The boy is watching someone. I trace the direction of his attention. Not his eyes, which are carefully pointed at his phone, but his aura's orientation, the directional pull of the filament, and it's aimed at the end of the hallway. Where Kai is rolling toward the cafeteria, laptop balanced on his knees, talking to Cole. Kids watch other kids. It's what happens in schools. But the filament changes this from curiosity to assignment. Someone told this boy to watch, and the boy is doing what he was told because the filament connects to something he needs. Approval, attention, the currency of a kid who doesn't get enough from anyone and will take it from whoever offers. I need to find the other end of the filament. I don't have time right now. The hallway is clearing and lingering will draw attention. But I mark the boy in my mental map the way I'd mark a surveillance camera. At lunch, I find his name. Danny. I hear it from a girl at a nearby table who says it with the dismissive tone of someone referencing a person who exists at the bottom of the social hierarchy. Danny was being weird again. He's sitting alone at a table in the middle of the cafeteria. Not the power center, not the margins, but the no man's land between, the space reserved for people who don't register on anyone's map. His aura aches with loneliness, not the deep structural loneliness of Cole, not the kind that's been built into the architecture. Danny's loneliness is desperate, active. A hunger that reaches outward in every direction, looking for anyone who will fill it. He's the kind of kid who attaches to whoever shows him the slightest warmth, and that makes him exploitable. The filament runs from his aura toward the north wing of the building, toward the staff offices, toward a specific room that I can't quite resolve from this distance. After lunch, I take the long route back to class, through the north wing, past the staff offices, reading the rooms as I walk, following the filament like a thread through a maze. It ends at Rob Dunn's classroom. Dunn is inside, at his desk, eating a sandwich and scrolling his phone. His aura is in its private mode configuration, the warm performance dimmed, the slick thread more visible underneath. And there, in the texture of his intentions, I find the matching end of Danny's filament, not a physical connection. Auras don't work that way. but a resonance, a relationship. A pattern of influence that flows from Dunn to Danny the way a signal flows from a transmitter to a receiver. Dunn is using Danny, giving him attention, approval, the feeling of being trusted, and in return, Danny watches. Danny reports. Danny is a set of eyes placed at student height, invisible because he's invisible, useful because nobody pays attention to the kid at the bottom. I stand in the hallway outside Dunn's classroom and I feel the hair on my arms rise. This is not new behavior. The filament is old. Established, worn smooth by repetition, a groove in Danny's aura that has been carved over months of being used. Dunn has been doing this for a while. Danny has been watching for a while. And whoever Danny has been watching before us, he's watching us now. I think about Dunn's encrypted traffic, the separate channel Kai noticed. The seamless warmth that never drops, the ambition beneath the friendly surface. I think about Voss, who watches openly and honestly and whose suspicion comes from a place of genuine concern. And I think about Rob Dunn, who watches through other people's eyes and whose warmth is a tool rather than a gift. Two watchers, one transparent, one hidden. Both building files on the four of us. South stairwell, third floor landing, 9:15 p.m. Cole made it darker. He said he could, and he did. The stairwell was already dim from the burned-out bulb, but now it's dense. The darkness has texture, weight, the quality I've come to associate with his presence. You could walk past the third-floor landing and not realize anyone was there. The shadows would swallow your attention the way they swallow light. We're pressed close. The landing is small, maybe 6 feet by 6 feet, and 4 people plus a wheelchair don't leave much room. Kai is against the railing. Una is on the step above, coiled in her usual ready-for-anything posture. Cole sits on the floor with his back against the wall, the shadows radiating outward from him like a cloak. I'm standing because someone has to be able to see, with my gift, not my eyes, if anyone approaches. 2 problems. Kai, you first. Kai's face is lit only by the faint glow of his closed laptop. In the shadow-dense darkness, his expression is hard to read with my eyes, but his aura is an open book. Guilt layered over determination, layered over the restless fire of a mind that can't stop pulling at threads.
Ken then installed a monitoring script on the server, Packet Sniffer. It's logging anomalous traffic and flagging any activity near Leo's partition.
Silence. Cole's shadows pulse once.
He's seen your activity?
He's seen anomalies. He doesn't know the source yet, but if he keeps looking, he'll narrow it down. My access patterns leave a signature that a competent admin can trace.
So stop.
I'm going to. For now. I'm going dark for at least 24 hours, let the logs go quiet, make the anomalies look transient.
For now.
Kai doesn't answer directly. His aura flares with stubbornness. He's already decided what he's going to do and is managing the conversation rather than participating in it. I see it. I don't call it out. Not yet. Second problem. Rob Dunn. I tell them about Danny, the filament of influence. The way Dunn has positioned a lonely, approval-hungry kid as a surveillance system at student level. The fact that Danny's attention was aimed at Kai and Cole in the hallway today. The stairwell goes very quiet.
He's using a kid.
His voice is flat, carrying something older than anger. Recognition. The recognition of a boy who has been used by systems his whole life, who knows exactly what it looks like when an adult exploits a child's need for belonging. Danny doesn't know what he's doing. He thinks he's being trusted. He thinks Dunn is his friend. The approval is real to him, even if it's manufactured.
What does Dunn want?
I don't know yet. His aura reads as ambitious and calculating, but I can't see the endgame. He might just be a teacher who likes to know what students are up to, or he might be something else.
Kai's encrypted traffic.
Everyone looks at him. He's staring at the wall, his dark eyes reflecting the faint laptop glow. The shadows around him are very still, his thinking stillness, the kind that means gears are turning.
Kai said, Dunn has a separate encrypted communication channel, a personal hotspot with structured traffic. That's not a teacher checking Instagram.
It could be anything. But yeah, a teacher with covert communications and a student spy network isn't normal.
Leo has a hidden investigation. Dunn has hidden communications and a student informant, and both of them are in the same building.
The implication hangs in the darkness. We don't know they're connected. Because we don't. The pattern is suggestive but not conclusive, and I've learned. From my mother, from the foster system, from 15 years of reading people and being wrong about what the readings mean, that jumping to conclusions is the fastest way to build the wrong map.
We don't know they're not.
Another silence. The stairwell hums with it. Not real sound, but the collective vibration of 4 people processing the same information and arriving at different conclusions at different speeds.
Now, what do we do?
Watch. We watch. Kai stays off the server.
For now.
I absorb the qualifier. For now. Cole and I watch Danny, see who he talks to, what he reports, how the information flows. Yuna, you're the one Dunn doesn't have a read on yet. You're new, you're quiet, he hasn't adjusted his act for you. Watch him in class. Pay attention to who he talks to when he thinks nobody's looking.
And Voss?
Voss is Voss. He watches because it's who he is, not because someone's pulling his strings. He's a problem, but he's an honest problem. Dunn might be something else. Cole nods. Yuna nods. Kai's fingers tap once against his armrest, and then he nods too. One more thing. They look at me. I feel the weight of what I'm about to say, the vulnerability of naming something they might not have noticed about themselves. Your abilities are getting stronger. All of you. Cole, your shadows are more responsive than they were a week ago. Yuna, the gym incident was bigger than the heavy bag. Kai, your reach into the network is expanding every day. I can see it.
And you? Deal.
I hesitate, because the truth is that I've been avoiding looking at my own escalation, the same way you avoid looking directly at the sun. My map's range has increased, the detail of my aura reads has sharpened. And last night, lying in bed, I saw something in Yuna's health aura that I've never been able to read before. The cellular structure of her muscle tissue, the actual fibers, dense and wrong and extraordinary. I'm seeing deeper, further, more. Me too. The stairwell holds the 4 of us in its manufactured dark. Cole's shadows, my sight, Kai's network. Yuna's coiled force, 4 frequencies humming the same note, getting louder.
Why now? Why are we all getting stronger at the same time?
Nobody has an answer. But I have one. I'm not ready to voice. We're stronger because we're together. The proximity is feeding something in each of us, widening whatever channel the thread runs through, which means separating might be the safe choice. I look at Cole in the dark, his shadows breathing around us. I look at Yuna, still and controlled, a loaded weapon with the safety on. I look at Kai, whose mind is already back in the server despite his promise, whose eyes have the distant focus of someone listening to a frequency the rest of us can't hear. Separating might be the safe choice. But I already know what I'm going to say. We keep going, we get stronger, we figure out what we are, and we watch our backs. Cole's shadow stretches across the landing and covers all 4 of us like a blanket. Room 217, midnight, the map open. I lie in the dark, and I hold the building in my mind. Every room, every body, every aura. The school is still around me. 100 troubled children and a handful of exhausted adults, all of them carrying their own weight, all of them broadcasting their damage into the dark. Cole is on the 1st floor. Shadows dense and settled, the thread humming low and steady. Yuna is next door, the furnace banked for sleep, her body radiating residual heat, the thread pulsing in time with her heartbeat. Kai is in his room, and he's not sleeping. His cognitive web is extended, filaments reaching toward the server room despite what he said in the stairwell. He's not accessing the partition. I'd feel the spike of concentration that requires. He's hovering, circling, a moth around a lamp. I could call him on it, reach for my phone and text him to stop. But I don't, because I understand the compulsion. I understand what it's like to have a gift that doesn't come with an off switch, to see things you can't unsee, to feel things you can't unfeel. Kai can't leave the lock alone any more than I can leave the auras alone. We are what we are, and what we are is getting stronger. I reach further with my map. Past the student rooms, past the staff offices, down into the basement where the server hums behind its locked door. And up to the second floor, where Leo Farid is still in his office at midnight, his aura burning with that deep blue conviction and that blade-edged fear, working on his hidden investigation, feeding his archive, reaching through his VPN to contacts that no one in this building knows about. 2 investigations running in the same building, Leo's and ours. A headmaster pulling at a conspiracy, 4 children pulling at the same thread, and somewhere between us, a friendly teacher with hidden communications and a lonely boy with a borrowed purpose, watching. I close my eyes. The map stays open. It always stays open. Something is coming.